Fani Willis update. All we have for you is that the judge, McAfee, is going to make a decision whether to boot Fani Willis off the case late this week or early next. Okay? And obviously everybody is going to be curious to see how the judge handles it. But I wanted to find out what the political climate is in Fulton County, Atlanta. So joining us from there is Dr. John Philippe Acevedo, teaches at Emory University School of Law. Nice to have you, Doctor. So to me,
thank you so much for having me.
I'm an outsider, but I know Fulton County, been there many times. To me, if I'm the judge, based upon what I heard in the courtroom, I boot Ms. Willis off the case because there's just too much extracurricular activity on a very important case like this that is a total distraction and opens up avenues of appeal by the Trump lawyers. So I boot her. Am I wrong?
Yeah, so Judge McAfee really suggested that he was going to consider that as well. So last Monday, before any of the witness testimony began, he said he was worried not only about actual conflicts of interest, but the appearance of conflicts of interest. So I don't think you're wrong. I think this is something on his mind. I don't envy his decision. But yeah, in criminal law in general, we don't want the appearance of impropriety.
Okay. So judges have to make these decisions all the time about right and wrong, legal, illegal. So I'm sitting there, again, not a lawyer, never want to be a judge, but I'm seeing two people, the district attorney and her top investigator, involved in a romantic relationship during the investigation of Donald Trump and 19 others for vote interference. I'm seeing $700,000 paid to the boyfriend through Fani Willis's office, and I'm seeing Ms. Willis take at least 5 luxury trips paid for by the boyfriend. To me, that opens up an investigation, because if she didn't reimburse him, that would be illegal, correct?
It's interesting. So here the receiving of gifts itself is not, it's the failure to disclose. And it's not clear she disclosed to anyone that she received these gifts. If she reimbursed them, then obviously there's nothing to disclose, there is no gift. But under Georgia law, if she received gifts and didn't disclose and didn't reimburse, then she would be running afoul of the Georgia disclosure rules.
Okay, so here I am, I'm the judge again. And Ms. Willis comes in and says, yes, I reimburse for these trips in cash. I'm going,
yeah, and
nobody does that. And if you did it in cash, let's see your withdrawal slip from the bank, because these trips were into the thousands of dollars. She says, I didn't withdraw money from the bank. I had it under my bed, because that's what black people do. I'm sorry, doctor, I'm not buying that as a judge. I'm not buying any of it at all. How about you?
Yeah, so this is an interesting point she raised. It certainly flies in the face of anything most of us do in 2024. I myself struggle to have $10 in my pocket to tip someone if I need to. Almost everything we do today is in credit cards, on our phones. The only part of it that kind of rang true was that her father was a 70s activist. And we look at the activists from that era, a lot of them did hoard cash in case they had to flee the government on short notice. Again, does that translate to a district attorney in present-day Atlanta? It's certainly out of the norm for most people in their everyday experience, but that's when it's going to be left to the judge to determine if he believes her. Her father took the stand to back her up, so we'll see.
No, the father doesn't know. He's just being a theoretician. Now, there is word that the judge is under heavy pressure because of the political climate in Fulton County. It's a very left-wing county, very heavily Democrat, and that if he sanctions Miss Willis, that his career could be in jeopardy. What do you think about that?
It's interesting, and this kind of hits to your point early on. He's having to balance not wanting to get overturned on appeal. One thing judges don't want to do is go through an entire trial and then see an appeals court throw it out and have to start over. It's a massive waste of their time, money, effort, irritates the jurors. So he really is in a bind here. He doesn't want to prematurely sanction the district attorney's office. But on the other hand, to let it go all the way through and then have it overturned because he didn't remove her is a huge cost as well.
And what are the odds, in your opinion, being, a legal scholar, if she stays on the case and it goes through and there is a conviction, what are the odds of it being overturned?
From the evidence we've had now, again, assuming no new evidence, I think the odds are not great for being overturned. The odds of it being appealed are absolutely. I think any defense lawyer would appeal this. It'd be, I think, malpractice not to appeal it. If you're the defense counsel, you have to zealously advocate for your clients. And that's whether it's a former president or just an average citizen. So I think here, again, even that review is going to cause issues. And again, you mentioned the political climate. I think the judge is mindful of that in two ways. On the one hand, they're elected officials. They are going to run for re-election. On the other hand, you don't want to have a criminal trial and conviction in which the majority of people believe it's unfair, because that'll undermine the entire criminal justice system.
Yeah, but that breaks down on ideological run. Final question. If this goes ahead and Fani Willis does prosecute, and she gets her convictions, 20 of them involved, and say she gets the lion's share, including Mr. Trump, it'll go to federal court after state court. If state turns down the appeals, it definitely go into the federal system with all of this stuff, would it not?
Yeah, all criminal defendants can appeal if they have a federal issue to the Supreme Court, and this would be a federal issue. It would be due process rights, that there was double dealing, financial improprieties would be what the defense would argue, and that most certainly could go to the Supreme Court.
Okay, so wrapping up our discussion, and I want to thank you for being very straightforward, by the way. It's a good discussion. If you're a judge and you know that, you know all of the problems that Ms. Willis has caused herself. Nobody else caused these problems. She did it. You move her out. If you're looking out for the cause of justice and the state of Georgia. That's my conclusion.
And I think that's one of the two we can reach. I mean, you think about it, this is an own goal. I don't think we can describe it any other way. Even if she's allowed to stay on the case, the jury pool is tainted against her to some degree. There's folks here in Fulton County already calling for a review of her other cases, particularly the supporters of Young Thug, which is also a RICO indictment. So in that sense, the damage is done in many ways to this case.
I just want to, I want to clarify to the audience. There's a guy named Young Thug, big kind rapper in Atlanta. She went after him. Obviously, his people don't like her, so they're using this to advance his cause. Hey, Doctor, thanks very much. We really appreciate it. I can't make a prediction on this. I mean, I know what the right thing is. You get Fani out of there. But the politics, boy. And as we have here in New York State, too. I mean, that judge fining Trump $400 million. I mean, that'll go into the federal system. And it's not going to stand. You can't. That's not equal justice for all. That's insane.